take for one to become a good journalist? Someone the society admires, who reports without fear or favor. For today, we've got one good journalist who has been in the field for over 30 years. Hello, Mr. Reuben, and welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
It's good to see you again as a guest.
Welcome of having me.
Nice. Maybe you want to take us through the journey of your broadcasting career, as in from when you were still a junior reporter, maybe in the 1987, somewhere there?
A very interesting thing is that I went to school partly in this country. I also went to West Africa and Nigeria, to be precise, during the struggle. Really? Then I also went to the University of Botswana, where I read English and history. Then I came back, I taught a bit. Then I joined the Ministry of Information as an information officer. Then by then I did a diploma in mass communication at the Harare Polytechnic. And I moved from the Ministry of Information to ZBC in 1987, after having worked for the government for at least 2.5 years. And when I joined as a reporter, not as a junior reporter, because I had worked previously as an information officer. Yes. And from then on, it has been a roller coaster up to date. I retired 4 years ago after reaching 60. I'm 64 today.
Wow.
And I am on contract on ZBC. And this has managed me to traverse the entire country. I've been to Kanyemba, I've been to Mkumbura, I've been to Crooks Corner.
The entire world.
I'm talking about Zimbabwe.
Yes.
So I've come to articulate the stories which usually you people who are urbanized are not really associated with. I've been to Crooks Corner, if you have been to Crooks Corner, where Zimbabwe, South Africa, and Mozambique meet, and I saw a border of a kind where there is just a barrier, a stick crossing the road. That's the demarcation between the three countries. And we have aired it. So it has been a very long journey in journalism. And I've enjoyed it, and I have no regrets. So that's part of me, and I have been doing journalism throughout.
Wow. Mr. Barwe, tell me, why journalism? Why not any other?
I was a teacher, as I told you, but I always had this desire of wanting to tell stories,
yes,
other people's stories.
Yes.
And these are stories that really touch the human aspect of, not really about politicians, but the social issues concerning the people you never expect to be featured. So I have been trying my level best to tell the Zimbabwean story. Not only locally, but even internationally. That's why I was put on sanctions.
Okay. That's nice. Maybe you'd want to tell me, the Reuben Barwe we know from ZBC and the Reuben Barwe we know at home. Is there any difference between the two?
I don't think there is a difference. One thing that has assisted me in my career, you have seen a lot of journalists dying early. There are a number of occupational hazards in journalism.
Yes.
And the issues are to do with personal behavior of individual journalists. I thank my gods, I thank my Lord, I thank my parents, I thank my late wife for discouraging me to go to the brown bottle or the green bottle as other people want. So I don't drink, and it has assisted me. So the Reuben Barwe you see on television reporting, whatever, is the same Reuben Barwe who is talking to you, who is a family man, who is a farmer also. So it's me, and it's me, and it's me.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay, maybe we have seen you. Okay, we'll talk about this presidential reporting after the break. The great man indeed, Reuben Barwe, join us after the break. Up with them, always a constant feature on our television. Says this is the second segment of Living Legends, and thank you so much for not going away, because of the man who has been great in the journalism industry. Reuben, you would want to tell me something about the presidential reporting. I understand that You are the chief correspondent now. How did you become one?
Probably my employers saw in me that probably I could be elevated to that position of being the chief correspondent, not the presidential reporter. The chief correspondent, the diplomatic correspondent, and the municipal correspondent cover the presidential beat, be it locally or internationally. But apart from that, I have covered quite a number of difficult situations. I covered the Zimbabwean war in Somalia, where the Zimbabwe was deployed in Mogadishu. I was in Mogadishu. I covered the Mozambican campaign, where Zimbabwe was deployed in Mozambique. These are war situations. I covered the DRC campaign from day one, and I was stuck in the DRC with our forces. So I've seen a bit. And on the president, you should take into consideration that the president was prime minister before he became president in December 1987. I covered him when he was prime minister, and the president by then was Banana. We had quite a number of people who covered the president then. May their soul rest in peace. We had Anan Maruta, we had Chris Somo, we had Albert Mazana. These are all late.
Yes.
And they mentored me to some extent, and I respect the way they mentored me. And I've also mentored a few journalists, tried to tell them that journalism has its pitfalls, especially if you try to cut corners and accept the brown envelope, then you have a challenge.
Of course.
Because you become, you are put on a string by some political actor somewhere. Hence, he actually owns you. Whether there is some small donation of a book or books, he will call you, I've got my own man at ZBC. So I've always refused to be somebody's person. Hence, I have covered the president on a number of assignments, be it locally or internationally. And I think I've kept my cool. It hasn't gone from my head. I've always respected his office. And I think that has kept me on for the past, from 1987 to date.
Wow, wise words from a guru in reporting. You would want to tell me, did traveling with the president impact your life in any way?
Not really. It's just a job like everybody else. The president does not only travel with journalists, he also travels with security people. Mm-hmm. He also travels with senior government officials. I don't think it changes their lives. The issue is that you are on a national assignment and you keep it that way. You cover the president wherever he is, be it locally. I've covered the president locally, all corners of the country where the president has gone to address rallies, mm-hmm. or gone to address people, or opening bridges, opening clinics. I've covered him from that time. And a very interesting one was the recent birthday celebration of the president. I was in Matabeleland, I think, I went to his former school where he taught before he left for Fort Hare, that is Mpandene, and went to the building where he stayed as a young teacher. And it was quite exciting to see. And the building is still standing there, built in 1945, and the president was there before he left for Fort Hare. Mm-hmm. And he taught, and they've kept the building intact. I've also gone to places where he has stayed, to Highfield, his home, mm-hmm. to Zimba, his home. And my wish was also to travel to the school. I went to Chalimbana in Zambia, where he taught, and went to the school where he taught in Zambia. So it has been a long journey, a really long journey. And I have been privileged to have been put on that pedestal that I can relate a little glimpse of this very complex man, really indeed. Mm-hmm. And I don't think anybody in my position as a chief correspondent can really fully describe this complex individual. When he was in Johannesburg addressing the Solar Summit, I was there when he told Blair, keep your England around. When he was in New York, where Christina Amanpour lost words because he couldn't really control the discussion as the president just climaxed over here and tried to educate her. It was like a lecture to this American reporter who thought she knew it all. So this is a very complex individual we are talking about.
Wow, a reporter indeed. You would want to tell me the greatest moment in your career?
The land reform program. The major grievance of our struggle was land. And when people or government decided that this is now time to take land after the British reneged on the Lancaster House Agreement, and all of us as young apparatchiks in the system, all of us as journalists, quite a number of journalists got land. I still remember Masimamsari had land. Langton Mufundi, one of our chief correspondents, told, I've got land. I also got land. And that was the greatest moment when land was delivered to the people.
Wow.
I still remember the president saying, there are two things which he was told by the late Father Zimbabwe, Dr. Joshua Nkomo. The land to the people and unity and more unity amongst our people. So land was delivered. Despite all the demonization and the retribution by the former colonial masters, land was actually delivered in the year 2000. Thanks to the British for reneging on the Lancaster House Agreement, land came, the entire everything of the Zimbabwean land was given to the people. That was a celebration not only for me as a land owner now, but also as a journalist, that we have been very peripheral looking at issues, land utilization, all those things are to be perfected later. But land was actually delivered, where 60,000 Zimbabweans perished in the War of Liberation. The major grievance was land. So I say that was my high point. And I've covered issues concerning land, including the Windhoek tribunal, where the British and their cousins who were here tried to scuttle the land issue. That's why this country has been punished with the sanctions it has gone through for the past almost 14 years. It is because of the land issue. The land was at the core of the grievance of the Zimbabwean people, which led them to take up arms. And it's a celebration for everybody, including you as young journalists. You can also tell government that we are grown up now, we also want land. And you will get land. So I think that's my high point in the profession as a journalist.
Wow.
Yes.
You know, when we grew up in schools, it was a game, I don't know some sort, but I'm sure you've come across it. That when you become a gossiper, at some point people would call you Reuben Barwe. Tell me your relations with the fans.
I know even little kids who are at home who gossip will report their moms to their daddy. And they usually say Reuben is in the house, let's keep quiet.
Yes.
I like it. There is
Nice.
because I think without gossiping, really, society ceases to exist. A little bit of gossip, not really the gossip that leads to other people getting hurt, but gossiping that this girl is not wearing properly, or this boy is doing, or mama went away to buy vegetables. All those little things which little boys or little girls tell their daddy when he comes back to work doesn't really harm.
That's
But
good.
gossiping, it's okay. I'm comfortable with it. Very comfortable.
You heard it for without gossiping, society ceases to exist, says Reuben Barwe. Join us after the break. Messages, Reuben. I don't know what to say, but this is the man we have right here on Living Legends. And thank you so much for not going away. This is the last and final segment. Reuben, you'd want to tell me, are you doing anything besides journalism for now?
I'm a farmer. I'm a farmer in Norton. My farm is right at the toll gate in Norton. I've been farming. It's only 200 hectares, and we did 200 hectares of maize this year. I'm happy. the rains came, and we are doing not badly.
Okay. Okay, that's nice. You would want to compare yesterday journalism with the current journalism of today?
I can't really. We are the old type of journalists, and I think with age, there is that element of believability that old people don't like generally. You are the younger ones who are coming up. I'm happy you are doing well, but I think there is need to do a bit of research and get to understand your history. I still remember somebody say, "Why do you say Reuben Barwe?" I say, when I was at school, at the university, they used to say there is what they call the intrusive R. You don't say road accident, you say road accident. The president is on record of saying when the NDP was banned, the National Democratic Party, a new party was formed called ZAP. But the late Father Zimbabwe, the late Dr. Joshua Nkomo, wanted the party to be called ZANU. And President Mugabe, because he was a graduate at English, said there is what they call the explosive P. You say ZAP, then explain the P. It's explosive. ZAP. You don't say people. You say people. There is the explosive P. Those are people who would have done phonetics in English. So actually the president formed the name called ZAP. And late Father Zimbabwe wanted to call ZANU. Later on they changed. ZAP remained with Father Zimbabwe, and President Mugabe and others went to ZANU. But we are looking at the way sometimes English pronunciations are made. So Reuben Barwe, as you have heard, I say there is an explained errors. Reuben Barwe road. Those are called the unexplained errors in English. But I'm happy that I've managed to give a little mark on the journalism fraternity. And sometimes I ask people, do you know where Fort Tool is? I say, where is that place? But there is a place where the pioneer column who came to this country, entered this country through, and I've been there. There is Fort Charter, Fort Victoria, and Fort Salisbury, which is Harare today. These are the 4 stops they went. I've followed that route and found out that our history, we neglect it at our own peril. If you are not a student of history, you are not a very good journalist.
Man, where are you learning all this from? Tell me in the industry, have you created any enemies with this job?
Obviously, I don't know. I have no enemies myself. But there is a tendency that some political actors, because of the messages you are sending,
yes,
they label you.
They can't understand it's a job.
Yeah, they do.
Okay.
They can't understand it. Several times I have been to cover rallies, the MDC rallies. Sometimes Reuben must get away from this place.
Why?
And ultimately some of the political actors in the MDC said, no, this is just a message.
Yes.
It's just a messenger, please. But a lot of their fans, a lot of their members won't understand. They say the person who brings this message must also be attacked.
Okay.
It might be across the political divide. I am not only giving it to the opposition that they don't like Reuben Barwe, but I have lots of friends across there.
Yes.
I talk to them, I talk to the leadership. And I don't think I have really created enemies who say, Reuben Barwe mustn't come here. I usually go, whether they have a rally or I go there, because it's my job to cover without fear or favor. So journalism is like that. Sometimes you are given a label, but one thing they fail to understand is that you are just a messenger, delivering messages. Journalists don't generate news. They just spread the news to the electorate, to the masses of this country, to get to understand what is actually happening. We are not the authors of news. The people who generate news are there. The politicians, the business people,
Yes.
the farmers, the engineers.
They're the actual producers. People
They
should
produce,
face.
yeah, and we just convey the message.
Yes.
Yeah, but sometimes it's a failure to understanding the dynamics in the profession.
Yes, you have had it for yourselves. So I know, I understand now. People are watching you, and then there are people who want to be Reuben Barwe one day. There are youngsters out there who wish to be you one day. Do you have any words to them?
One thing, if you go into journalism, think you will make money, forget. Journalism is like a calling.
Okay.
It's like priesthood. Priests don't go into priesthood to make money.
Okay.
It's like teaching. It's like nursing. You don't go into that profession thinking you are going to make money. You are just there to service. The press is the fourth estate in a governance structure. And we have a very heavy duty to overact over the three other arms of government to check whether they are doing things above board. So we have a very strong role. Though we are not elected, but we have a very strong mandate to say, no, there are excesses there. There are shortcomings there, be it in the judiciary, in the legislature, or in the executive. Journalists are important for a well-functioning democracy or a democratic state. They have a role to play. Sometimes they become overzealous, it's understood. Sometimes they don't give a balanced assessment of stories. And with the sudden avalanche of social media, it's distorting the way journalists operate. Because these people are not guided by any ethics. They just throw anything into the public domain without really balancing facts. You hear anything, you send a picture. You don't even know that sometimes pornographic issues hate society. But with social media on the loose, we have a challenge as journalists. How we can continue safeguarding our profession without this intrusion with people who are not guided by any principles or by any
It was quite
structure.
a very healthy discussion with Mercy about the living legends. But there are quite a number of living legends in the broadcasting area. We have my good brother Godfrey Majonga, who was our newscaster. Though there was a mishap, we had quite a number of other journalists. The former Minister of Information, Webster Shamu, Victor Mijamurira, who used to have this booming voice from Maputo, Mozambique. These are legends which a lot of people have to follow. We have quite a number of other people who are out there. We have the Dominic Mandijas, the Job Joneras. These are all legends in the journalistic fraternity. So it's not really Reuben Barwe reinventing the wheel. There are quite a number of people whom we have to follow. And I'm grateful that Mercy had to bring this living legend to us. Thank you, Mercy.
Another great and informative episode indeed we had today on Living Legends, and thank you so much for supporting us on Facebook as well as on WhatsApp. But if you've got comments, contributions, as usual, the details are right there on your screen. So from myself, Maslin Gwendamakara, the Malante production crew that has been running around behind the scene, goodbye and God bless you.